Okay, so Mercury, right? It's not in retrograde, but Mercury has been affecting my communications for so many days, right? Weeks now. So I was doing this reading and bam, I, and I felt something saying, you know what? Go ahead and save it now and then start it again. But I didn't do it. I was almost done and whoop, let's learn, right? Okay, so this reading is, I was talking about Mercury in Libra squaring Jupiter in Cancer. So Mercury is about communication, right? Um, could be about emails, transmissions, right? And Libra is about balance and harmony. So this Mercury in Libra could also be a tendency to be more diplomatic and more considerate. The Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is about expanding, right? Expands. And with Cancer, that's about emotions, home, family, nurturing. This could be expanding your capacity for empathy and compassion and emotional connection. It could be you could also maybe feel a little overly sentimental, a little more protective or attached to the past. And I have the cards here, and that actually came out in the cards. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the square, right, is kind of like attention, right? So it's about balancing that communication, those relationships, that fairness, which is Libra, with your emotions, home, and nurturing that expansion, which is Cancer and Jupiter, right? Okay, so the first cards that I pulled were oracle cards from the Cosmic Journey Oracle deck, and it was cut away what is no longer needed for you. And that's a number 9. So that's about ending a cycle. And then we had Ancestor, and this was on the bottom of the deck. So um, I'm going to kind of do this in a little bit of a different order. So I had pulled some timing cards, and March came out. And remember, we just had that solar eclipse. And that was all this eclipse energy, right? Was tied back to March. So this could be something that you've been working on, right? And you've been trying, or maybe you haven't been trying, right? Some of you may have been trying to get through this energy, right? December was on the bottom of the deck for the timing card, so that could be that maybe that's finally coming to fruition in December. Keep working on it, right? Um, the cards that came out for cutting away what no longer serves you, the Hermit fell out, and we had just been talking about um, knowledge and experience because I was talking about the Ancestor card, which is what had at that time I had heard what would they do, right? And I gave the example of me and my dad. My dad's been gone. It'll be 30 years in March, and I still talk to him. I still ask him for advice, right? He was always like that little voice in my ear, or and it could have been because I wanted him to be proud of me, but it was also because he had a lot of good information. Did I always follow what he said? No, I was young, right? And I'm kind of rebellious. So no. Sometimes I should have listened, but I didn't, right? We always have to learn things in our own time, right? So that's what that hermit was referencing to. So you use your knowledge and experience. If you have to talk to your ancestors, what would your ancestor do, right? And perhaps use that to help you get through this time. Then what also came up was the Eight of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. So communication, right? This Mercury is about this communication. What needs to change in your communication? Perhaps your communication with yourself needs to change. And this desire, this passion to want to stabilize your foundation, right? Have more stability. And was saying something about sometimes we want to, when something comes up, because the Three of Swords was on the bottom of the deck, and that's about not want that, a little pain and sorrow, right? That's something we don't like change, right? It kind of hurts a little bit if we have to get rid of something that we're used to. Well, as I was shuffling, talking about that, getting ready to ask the next question, the Devil and the Eight of Swords came out. And so that's about self-restricting ourselves, right? So the Eight of Swords is the lower octave of the Devil, right? With the Devil energy, you have these two people right here. They have chains around their neck, right? The Devil is holding them there, but the chains aren't tight, right? They could just put them back over their head or pull them over their head and leave. So, because their feet aren't even bound. So this is a self imposition. So that was what Spirit was saying. Don't hold yourself back. Spirit wants you to move forward. The universe wants you to move forward. Do what it is you need to do to tighten up those little loose ends and move forward. Then um, I started to ask what are the blocks, and then I was like, well, those are blocks, but what other blocks? And so the cards that came out were the Knight of Pentacles. I'm sorry, the King of Pentacles, the Hangman, and the Knight of Wands. And so this was about not seeing things in the perspective that you need to, right? So the King of Pentacles is very stable, right? Has money, secure foundation, right? So maybe you're feeling like, well, I already have all this. Why do I need to change anything, right? Well, there's something that needs to change, right? Maybe you're moving too fast. Maybe you're not thinking things clearly, right? Don't be impulsive. And the Six of Swords was on the bottom of the deck. And that's about moving away from the choppy waters. Maybe things aren't as I'm gonna say it, as bad as you think they are, right? There could be some things going on and it's like, man, I can handle that again, putting it away, dealing it with when it's later, pushing it under the rug, whatever, right? But that's not what universe wants you to do right now. That's not what spirit wants you to do right now. So then this is where I'm kind of talking fast, huh? I'm afraid this is going to stop. In fact, let me stop it because I'm afraid it's going to peter out. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So this was this was actually the part where I did draw the timing cards. So again, this could be something that um, has been happening since March, right? Have you been journaling, right? Do you take notes? I look at my calendar to see what was going on at that time. Doesn't necessarily jolt all my memories because it just tells me like maybe what appointments I had, was I on vacation, what was going on to try to spark my memory. But next week I'll be 61, and at this point in my life, I walk into the kitchen and forget why I went there. So I can't always trust my memory. So I should journal. Don't do as I do. Do better and journal. But anyway, if you already have been journaling, perhaps you could see what was going on in March or April or May, and maybe you need to tighten up some loose ends so that you can move forward, right? From that, from ending that cycle to balancing things that you need so that you can move forward. So then I wanted to get guidance from the ancestors using the Angels and Ancestors Oracle, and the Shield Maiden came out. Make plans and focus. And like I said before, it cut off. Can't make this up. So make plans and focus. So have a plan or strategy in place before moving forward. So that's that nine of wands, right? Don't move too fast. Have a plan first. So um, the message is take some time to assess what your next steps will be. All great warriors have a plan. You are a sensitive being, and if you are not prepared for the tasks you are taking on, you could end up feeling exposed and helpless. Could be that Three of Swords, right? The ancestor guidance that is coming to you now is remember that you have a warrior's heart and that you have it within you to be more prepared and focused than you have been recently. So have a strategy in place and then let your guides support you as you move forward. So have that strategy, right? Um, what knowledge and experiences have you already gathered so that you can cut away what no longer serves you so that you can move forward, right? And you can um, go from those choppy waters to smoother waters, right? um, what information are you gathering from your ancestors? What is it that perhaps you need to be more compassionate about something? Be more compassionate with yourself. Give yourself grace, right? I know I'm very hard on myself, and I'm pretty sure many of you are pretty hard on yourselves too. I mean, that's just kind of like, it seems like it's human nature, right? So give yourself grace, seek that balance. Um, Try to be a little more diplomatic and compassionate with yourself and with others, right? expand your capacity for that empathy. Um, Try not to be overly sentimental. Be protective of yourself and others, but don't be overly protective, right? And don't be too attached to the past. When we move through lessons and we learn things, right? We take what we learned forward with us and we put and we let those things go. That doesn't mean we forget about them, right? That's how we remember the lessons, because we remember what it felt like or what it looked like when we did that, right? Set up those boundaries so that you can see, oh, I'm coming to this juncture in the road, right? This Y point, and I need to make a choice. But last time, here's some little red flags that came up last time, and here's some green flags that helped me decide which direction I went last time, right? So a little bit of discernment, right? You got this. You got to trust your intuition. Ask your ancestors for help. Again, what would they do? And I think it's a really, I just heard heavy time. There's a lot going on. And the feelings that I get is that this collective wants to we're tired, right? We're tired of doing the same thing over and over, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting to get a different result. So we're done with that. So we want to do the right thing and we want to move forward. So the thing is that you want to do the right thing, but just be smart about it, right? Make your list, take your time. You got this. Okay. Don't forget about our Thursday night live and join us for that. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching if you're new to our channel. And if you'd like to check out my channel, there's a link in the description box below. If you'd like a private reading from me, there's also a link in the description box below. Have a good week. Give yourself grace. Be kind. Stay balanced. Ground yourself. And until next time, have a good day.